Two shotgun blasts shattered the peaceful Beverly Hills night. Inside a mansion worth millions, Jose and Kitty Menendez lay dead, their bodies riddled with bullets. Their killers. Their own sons. This wasn't just a murder, it was an execution. Lyle and Eric Menendez would claim it was self-defense against years of abuse, but prosecutors saw something much darker. Cold-blooded murder for a $14 million inheritance. Tonight, we unravel the brutal truth behind the case that shocked America. Jose Menendez was the embodiment of the American dream. A Cuban immigrant who climbed his way to the top of the entertainment industry as an executive at RCA Records and later Coralco Pictures. Known for his ruthless business tactics and explosive temper, Jose demanded perfection, especially from his sons. Behind closed doors, he ruled his household with an iron fist, creating an atmosphere of fear and intimidation. His success brought wealth beyond imagination, but money couldn't buy the peace that eluded this troubled family. Mary Louise Kitty Menendez projected the image of the perfect Beverly Hills housewife. Designer clothes, charity events, and a mansion most could only dream of. But behind her carefully maintained appearance was a woman battling depression and alcoholism. Friends would later testify that Kitty was increasingly isolated in her marriage, aware of her husband's controlling nature, but trapped in a gilded cage. As her sons would later claim, she was both victim and enabler in a household where appearances mattered more than reality. Growing up Menendez meant privilege, but it came at a cost. Lyle and Eric lived under crushing expectations. Tennis lessons, private schools, and the constant demand to achieve. Lyle, the older brother, appeared confident and calculating, a natural successor to his father's empire. Eric was more sensitive, artistic, struggling under the weight of his father's disappointment. The brothers shared an unbreakable bond, forged through shared trauma according to their later testimony. The perfect family image Jose crafted hid darker truths that would eventually explode into violence. August 20, 1989. The brothers claimed they'd been at the movies that night, returning home to discover the horrific scene. Their parents had been watching TV in the den when someone entered and opened fire. Jose was shot point-blank in the back of the head. Kitty, hearing the shots, tried to flee but was hunted down and shot multiple times. The brutality shocked even seasoned detectives. The murder scene revealed no forced entry, nothing stolen. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong, this was personal. Yet initially, police had no reason to suspect the grieving sons. Just days after burying their parents, the brothers embarked on a spending spree that raised eyebrows. A Porsche for Lyle. A Rolex collection. Designer clothes. Restaurants. In 3 months, they burned through nearly $700,000. When questioned, they claimed it was grief shopping, a way to cope with their loss. But investigators saw something more sinister: celebration. The brothers had also begun inquiring about their inheritance before their parents' bodies were even cold. What grieving sons rushed to claim their fortune while still planning funerals? This behavior would eventually become the prosecution's smoking gun. The facade cracked when Eric, consumed by guilt, confessed everything to his psychologist doctor, Jerome Oziel. "We killed our parents," he admitted through tears. Unbeknownst to Eric, Oziel's mistress was listening from another room. When their relationship soured, she went to police with what she'd heard. The brothers had carefully planned the murders, purchasing shotguns days before, creating an alibi, and executing their parents with cold precision. They'd even considered killing other family members who might challenge their inheritance. The police finally had what they needed to make an arrest. In March 1990, the brothers' world came crashing down. Police arrested them separately, Lyle at the family mansion, Eric after returning from a tennis tournament. Their shocked expressions told the story of young men who never expected to be caught. The privileged sons of Beverly Hills were now facing the death penalty for parricide, the murder of one's parents. The media frenzy began immediately. Here were two handsome, wealthy young men accused of the most primal taboo. America was captivated, and the stage was set for what would become one of the most sensational trials in history. The trial began in 1993, becoming one of the first major court cases televised gavel to gavel. Prosecutor Pamela Bozanish painted a picture of greed and malice, spoiled sons who murdered for money. But defense attorney Leslie Abramson had a bombshell strategy. The brothers hadn't killed for money. They'd killed in fear for their lives after enduring years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse at their father's hands. The courtroom fell silent as Eric tearfully described molestation, beginning at age 6. Kitty, they claimed, knew but did nothing. The jury now faced an impossible question. Were the brothers victims or calculated killers? The nation was divided, just like the juries who heard the case. Was this self-defense against monstrous abuse or a calculated murder for millions? The prosecution highlighted inconsistencies in the brothers' stories, noting they'd never reported abuse to anyone before the murders. The defense countered with expert testimony on the psychology of abuse victims. The case ultimately hung on one question. Did the brothers genuinely fear for their lives that night, or had they manufactured an elaborate excuse for patricide? After 2 deadlocked juries and a retrial, both brothers were convicted of first-degree murder in 1996, with the abuse claims insufficient to justify their actions. Today, more than 30 years later, Lyle and Eric Menendez remain in prison, serving life sentences without the possibility of parole. They've exhausted most appeals, though advocates continue to fight for their release, arguing that modern understanding of abuse and trauma would have resulted in different verdicts. The brothers have found some purpose behind bars. Lyle runs a prison support group, while Eric counsels younger inmates. Both have married women they met while incarcerated. Their $14 million inheritance, their alleged motive, went mostly to legal fees and lawsuits from the extended family, whose wealth they once sought to claim. The Menendez case remains one of America's most controversial true crime stories. Were they cold-blooded killers who executed their parents for wealth, or traumatized sons who saw no other escape? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. Their story continues to fascinate and divide us, appearing in countless documentaries, books, and dramatizations. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about family secrets, abuse, wealth, and justice. The Menendez brothers killed their parents, that fact is undisputed. But the why behind those shotgun blasts on that August night still echoes through our criminal justice system today.